All right, well, Scallywags, this is another one of our videos to fall under alumni and students with both. So I'm here with Chris, and he went through the program about 10 years ago, and we're going to have him talk and showcase a little bit about his particular boat and experience. So welcome to the YouTube channel.
Thank you very much, Mike. Well, we're here in Anacortes Marina aboard a almost 50-year-old 38-foot Rawson trawler. My name's Chris. I am a Marine Tech alumni, or alumnus, I guess that is, from about 10 years or so ago. I bought this boat and knew that she was going to need some pretty major rework. She had 50-year-old everything, 50-year-old systems that had been modified 40 years ago and 30 years ago and 20 years ago and weren't exactly shipshape anymore. I bought the boat to live on for a couple of summers while I was rebuilding the house. I found this boat up in Bellingham and fell in love with it. 1971, a couple of cool things about that. That was before the first gas crisis, so epoxy ready, or whatever the resin was they built the boat with, was cheap. And they solved any worries about it by throwing on a few more layers of cloth and plenty of resin. The boats had no blister problems as a result. 50-year-old boat with no blisters. Other thing, as you'll probably get to see with some shots Mike takes of it, there's no core on this boat. They've done extensive fiberglass over marine grade plywood, but there's no core. There's no spot for water to get trapped and turn to mush, and that was a big selling point for me. The boat's super solid. Rawson was built down in Redmond, Washington. The story I was told was that Rawson has done a lot of fishing boats for the Alaskan market. They basically took a hull mold off of one of those boats. They had Ed Monk, I believe it was senior, design the cabin for us. And this is one of the earlier standard Monk tri-cabins, kind of one of the precursors. 2 bunks forward, main salon with a steering station, a dinette and a galley, and then a pair of bunks aft. A zillion boats have been made now in this configuration, but 1971, that was not real common. That was kind of a new thing. I went to Marine Tech School. I've got a background in electronics, but that's just mechanical systems, but the proper marine way of doing things was a little different animal, and it was awesome. I think I did 3 years up there. I got my ABYC certifications in electrical, in diesel engine, and in corrosion. Also met one of my best friends, Mike Beemer, through the whole process. He was an awesome teacher, and I had a blast during that. Was kind of bummed when it was time to start doing other stuff, but boy, it came in handy on this boat. So about 4 years ago, I decided it was time to do the full renovation on the boat. And one of the big sticking points that I had was the old engines. The boat had a pair of old 185 horsepower Perkin 6354s, and you would start those things up and everybody within a quarter mile was closing their windows because they put out so much smoke. It was a nightmare. And they were fuel guzzlers, and I didn't really have a good history for them, so I knew they were basically mechanically sound, but I had no idea how many hours were on the engines. I was getting a little weirded out about that. So I decided, okay, it's time to start the boat over from scratch. So the boat was completely gutted. The main cabin was completely pulled out. The galley had to be pulled out for access to the engines. I pulled out all the plumbing, all the electrical, all the systems, and started from scratch. The engines were a pair of Volvo D3 110s. They're a 5-cylinder modern diesel, common rail diesel. I liked it because the 5 cylinders, the smallest amount of cylinders you can get, and have it be a smooth running engine. 4s still have a bit of buzz to them, so I decided on these. They are 2/3 the horsepower of the old engines, but they've lightened the boat so much. The top speed is actually higher than the old engines were, and they're quiet and they're smoke free. And I am actually getting 7.5 knots at 2.5 gallons an hour on this boat, which ain't half bad for this size trawler. This is not a light boat either. This is when first had her pulled for survey, the crane showed her at 29,000 pounds. That was with some fuel aboard, some water aboard, but I think empty is still a 25,000 pound boat. That's a heavy boat for this size. I got through the mechanicals. Everything below deck is pretty gorgeous. The engine compartment is massive now, going from those huge Perkins to the two little Volvos. I put in new hydronic heating. The galley, I have a temporary galley in with a new isotherm refrigerator in it. The water system is all brand new with new PEX tubing on everything, and new composting head in the aft cabin. I decided not to put the holding tank in because they're just, to me, they're just nothing but smelly trouble. And composting is a little gross now and then, but it's really much nicer. Leaves the boat much nicer than the holding tank. 2 years ago, however, I got married at the ripe old age of 60. I decided it was finally time to settle down, and I inherited a family. Inherited 4 siblings as well as my wife, and my wife was tired of me working on the boat and wanted something bigger, because suddenly I had family members to come visit. So we ended up finding a good deal on a 46-foot Grand Banks and traded up a bit. So now the good ship Juz-B-Cuz is for sale. It needs somebody who is interested in finishing out the cabin, because the cabin right now is bare plywood floors, bare wood ceilings, and the framework for a galley. Like I said, the boat is mechanically sound as can be. Below deck, she's beautiful. Above decks, she needs sprite work done, she needs paint done, and she needs the main cabin refinished. But she's a solid boat, and I think the right person could have a lot of fun with her. And by the way, in this exact shape she's in right now, last summer we took her up to Desolation Sound for 2 weeks. We took her out to Port Angeles, and so she's totally cruise worthy right now. She just looks a little raw in the main cabin, but you know, with the right friends aboard in the right place, she's still a great boat, even just the shape she's in right now.
Right. Well, Chris, thanks for sharing for former students and people who are thinking about getting into the program.
Yeah.
You know what it's helped you do, and for sharing your own boat and personal space with everybody. That's fantastic. And if any of those scallywags are looking for a boat and have some woodworking skills and want to finish this out, they're going to end up with a great cruiser.
They are. Thanks for coming down, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Good to see you.